Types of majority. So what we would discuss today is 4 different types of majority. They appear pretty similar, but what's the exact difference? That is something that we would understand today. So the 4 different types of majority that we would be focusing on today is absolute majority, effective majority, special majority, and a simple majority. Now what is majority first of all? When you are passing any resolution, any motion, any bill, the amount of people who would be standing for it would be different from who would be standing against it. So what kind of majority is permissible with which of the decisions and which of the bills is something that is very important to understand. However, Indian Constitution do not explicitly mention the classification for the majorities. These are 4 of the most commonly used majorities that we would discuss today. So let's talk about the first one, which is the absolute majority. So absolute majority means more than 50% would be in favor of a decision. Now this is pretty simple. Let's say we take an example of Lok Sabha with 545 seats in all the cases. So in all the cases we have 545 as the number of seats. Now what would happen? Half of 545 plus 1 would be the number of seats that would be required for an absolute majority. So 272 plus 1, that is 273 plus any number. If those are voting in favor of a decision, we would say it's an absolute majority. So when it is actually used, this is used when there is general election for the formation of government either at the center level or at the state level. So most commonly used absolute majority in this case. In normal businesses of the parliament, absolute majority is generally not used. So whenever we have more than half of the total number of candidates in the parliament who are in favor of a decision, we would say this is an absolute majority. So absolutely simple, a very basic concept that is there. The next is effective majority. Now how does this effective majority differ? Effective majority says that at a given point of time there could be certain number of seats that could lie vacant. So let's say of the 545 seats, we have 95 seats that are vacant. So that means we have 450 seats that are there. Of this 450 seats, understand, of this 450 seats, we are saying 50% and more of it. So 450, 50% of it would be 225. So any number more than 225 would be an effective majority. Clear? So in absolute majority, we are not considering vacant, non-vacant, nothing like that. But in effective majority, we consider the case of vacant seats and we remove those vacant seats, and the remaining figure that is left is now our full number of candidates that we would consider, which is 450. Now in this case, and out of that, half and more than half of the effective strength that we say would be the effective majority. Now where it is actually used? This is used when you are removing the vice president from the Rajya Sabha. This is under Article 67B. Also, it is used in the removal of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker either for Lok Sabha or for the State Legislative Assembly. The rules would remain the same. That is, it would be with the effective majority of the House. So that is the next one, which is effective majority. The third interesting one is a simple majority. Now simple is nothing but what we consider is the 50% and more of the candidates present and voting. What does that mean? It talks about the candidates who have been absent. It also talks about the candidates whose voting rights have been denied. So they are abstained by all case. And then out of the remaining candidates, 50% and more would be, if in favor of the voting, then it would be a simple majority. So in this case, 545, again the total number of candidates, of which I remove 145. So this gives me 400 candidates. Half of the 400, that is greater than 200, if they are positive or they are in favor of the decision, then this would be called as a simple majority. So simply what we say, 50% 50% or more of the candidates present and voting. Now understand the language once again. In absolute, we would say 50% of the total strength of the house. In effective, we would say more than 50% of the effective strength, which removes the vacant number of seats, and this says 50% of the candidates present and voting. So it ignores the candidates who have been absent, the candidates whose voting rights have been removed or terminated for a while, they have been abstained. So then we call it a simple majority. Now where the simple majority is used? Simple majority is used in numerous places. For example, if any ordinary bill, financial bill, money bill has to be passed, it is through a simple majority. For no confidence motion, adjournment motions, censure motions, in all those cases, again we use simple majority. For state emergency or financial emergency, for elections of speaker, deputy speakers of Lok Sabha or state legislature. Now understand, for their removal, we were talking about effective majority, but for their appointment or for their elections, we are talking about a simple majority. So be very, very clear. Also, under Article 368, any constitutional amendment bill which needs to be ratified by the state at the legislature level would be also part of the simple majority. So these are some of the cases where simple majority is used. The last and the most interesting one is the special majority. Now, why do you think special majority is so special to understand? Now, special majority could be understood in various ways. So, first of all, we understand the total strength of the house. Now, what do we say with the total strength? So, under special majority, we say 2/3 of the members who are present and voting would be part of the special majority. Clear? So, here, let's say 40 members are abstained and 60 are absent. So, out of 545, I remove 100 members. So, I have 445 members in hand who are present and who would be voting. Now, of this 445 members, I create another graph and 2/3 of it. So, 2/3 of 445, any number which is more than 2/3 of 445, that is plus 270 around, would be a special majority. So, I repeat again, special majority is a special case where 2/3 of the members present and voting support the motion and they constitute more than 50% of the strength of the house. So, in this case, their strength should be more than 50%. It should not be a case that the number of members who are present and voting account for less than 50%. If they account for less than 50%, then obviously no. Only if the members who are present and voting are more than 50%, as we have seen in this curve, only in that case we would consider a special majority. So, two important phenomena, repeating again. Firstly, 2/3 of the members should be present and voting, and the next is there should be a consideration where people should be understanding what to take into account. Okay, now, as we said, the next is the last, what is important is the cases under special majority. So, what are the cases where special majority is applied? Now, special majority is applied in numerous cases. First of all, it is applied to pass any constitutional amendment bill which does not affect the federal structure. Next, it is used for the removal of judges, either Supreme Court or High Court, removal of Chief Election Commissioner or the Comptroller and the Auditor General, approval of the national emergency under Article 368 also requires a special majority. Also, any resolution which has to be passed by the state legislatures for either creation of legislative councils or abolition of legislative councils would be part of special majority. So, those are the cases under which we have special majority that is used. So, in this session, we have understood what is absolute majority. 50% of the total strength of the house, if there would be the absolute majority. Effective majority, 50% of the effective strength, that means we are excluding the vacant seats. Under simple majority, half or 50% or more of the members present and voting. That means we are removing those the seats which are vacant, the members who are abstained from voting, so all those cases being removed. And under special majority, the most commonly talked about special majority is where you have 2/3 of the member who are present and voting, and this 2/3 of the members should account for more than 50% of the effective strength of the house. If that is less than 50%, the members who are present and voting are less than 50%, we won't consider this under a special majority. So those are some of the important majorities and cases where they are used. Stay tuned for many more lectures from our side. Have a fantastic day ahead.